Now, I understand the Pope, Pope Benedict, came to Aida Camp. How did that happen?
Well, in 2000, Pope John Paul II visited the Haisha Refugee Camp in Bethlehem. And this year it was organized that he visits Aida Camp because Aida Camp is like between Bethlehem and Jerusalem. It has a population which represents the cohabitation between the Palestinian Muslim and the Christian communities. And it is also a place where the wall passes all around the camp. And in the beginning, we hoped to receive him in a suitable place. So we had the external theater, which was transformed and built with the stones to be on the level of this visit. But the Israeli soldiers came in and asked to demolish it and lower the stage. So it was demolished and we lowered the stage. And then they came again and said the pub will not be received here. And they issued an order of demolition and issued an order to be in the court. And of course, nobody went out, but they threatened to imprison everyone who participates in the building. And there was a big debate with the Palestinian Authority that we want the reception to take place here. I mean, if they are shy or they feel shame of this wall of separation they built, then we don't mind that they remove it. Because, of course, the main purpose was that they didn't want the wall to be in the background of the pub during this visit. And so there was much pressure put on the Palestinian Authority to push the visit to be within the school, the UN school. And finally it took place there, but I mean, you can't hide a wall of 30 feet high. So it was obvious and clear. And we were proud because we were chosen to perform Dabka dance in front of the pub and the president and so on, and all the delegations that accompanied.
In the final section of the interview, I wanted to ask you a bit about the Palestinian theater. But before I start, I recall the last time I saw you was in New York. You had an experimental piece. What was it called and what happened with it?
I co-wrote a play with Naomi Wallace and Lisa Schlesinger, two American playwrights. And its name was 21 Positions. And it talked, and in fact, despite the ambiguous title, if you look in one of the books of Raja Shehadeh, he talks about the occupation of Ramallah during the 2002 period where they occupied the West Bethlehem and Ramallah for 43 days. And the soldiers took over houses and they were putting families in one room and controlling the houses. So the day they left, one of the Israeli soldiers is speaking with the brother of Raja Shehadeh and saying to him, I don't know why you keep fighting and you think you can win. We are trained on 21 positions shoot to kill, and you know nothing about this. So we took this title to talk about the story of two brothers who were born in the US from Palestinian parents, and one of them decides to come back and the other is not, and then he goes on his trace to find what happened to him. So it's a beautiful story. We were at Fordham. It was performed at Fordham University Institute at Lincoln Center in New York, and hopefully it can be touring someday or be performed in more in other theaters. The play was created a contradictory because it was commissioned by the Guthrie Theater. And then, well, there was a lot of pressure that it shouldn't be produced there because of the topic it has and the creation of the wall and the discovering of Palestine from an outsider point of view.
Now, I don't know much about Palestinian theater. The only ones I know are the Freedom Theater in Jenin and Al-Qasaba, which is Ramallah, I believe. Yeah. Could you talk a little bit?
Well, I am actually the president of the Palestinian Theatre League, and I was elected last February with a group of a new board. Palestinian theater, I mean, return to history started in schools and so on in the 1800 something. And they even performed Shakespeare at that time in this area. But the main focus was almost the occupation, whether it was the Turkish in the beginning, then the British, and then the Israelis. And it has like a main refreshment in the 60s, 70s, and 80s with the creation of al-Hakawati, Balalin, Sunduq al-Ajab, Bilalin, etc., Sanabel, and then the Palestinian National Theatre, which took over the place of al-Hakawati in Jerusalem. Al-Qasaba was also in Jerusalem, in fact, next to the Palestinian National Theatre, or Al-Hakawati, and moved to Ramallah, to a bigger place. And Freedom Theatre is new. It was created in 2006 after the story of Arna, who started working with the kids in Jenin, a refugee camp. There is Yes Theatre, there is Theatre Day Productions. There is a lot of different groups of theater that exist in different Palestinian cities and all over the West Bank and Gaza, Theater for Everybody, and so on. And they try to treat different subjects. Most of the time, of course, it's linked to the occupation or to the social issues or to family issues or health issues and so on. Main problem with theater is the support it can has. A lot of times there is no adequate infrastructures to perform the plays on a stage properly. So they have to deal with sometimes the schools or playgrounds, spaces, empty spaces that are not prepared adequately for performances. And because of the increasing number of unemployment rate and so on, so mostly also the theater groups or centers who try to do shows, to go to schools and so on, should find a sponsor to cover the cost of the performances so that they can do that freely or at low budget for people.
Has there been one play that stood out that's become a runaway hit or, superstar kind of vehicle